Oh, we're live on Facebook.
The video.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, I'm going to move this away because I am very orange.
You've been out in the sun.
Well, you know, I spent the summer in the sun as soon as it comes out from there. I'm very orange.
Okay, Allison, we're here no matter what.
We're here. And I think we've been recording our whole interlude. Everyone now knows I'm orange.
We're going to have to do something to...
I think you put that on silent.
How do I do that?
I think you maybe just put, oh, I don't know.
Sorry, guys, we've got a few technical situations we need to... How do I do that?
Let's do project positive change.
Okay, I got it.
You got it? Oh no, yeah, you've got it. You're right. Okay, well, in which case I close this down so that we don't have any feedback. Luckily, we're lovely, laid back, calm kind of girls. Or are we?
Okay, I'm going to go back to the Zoom. All right. So, Allison, so if I look at Facebook, it's just going to confuse me. So I'm just going to look at
Come and look at me then.
Yeah, I'll just look at you. So, Allison, first of all, thank you for being the very first guest on my show. This is not legal advice.
It's a pleasure. I'm so happy to be here. It's something that we spoke about on and off for ages. So the fact that you've actually got it together now is amazing. So I'm very privileged to be the first.
So the reason why I had this idea was because I have so many people that come into my office and they want to ask me lots of questions that I'm not prepared to answer. So they ask me questions like, how do I talk to my kids? Or how do I tell them I want to get divorced? Or they cheated, should I trust him? That's really not my area of expertise. None of those are. I mean, I can say, you know, I think you should leave, but I don't know the answers to a lot of it. So can you tell everybody like what you do in the world and how you can help people?
Well, yeah, that is my area of expertise. That's the bit that lights me up and gets me out of bed in the morning. So, as you said, I'm Allison Reiner, and I'm a relationship coach, and I work with women, predominantly women. I do work with men as well, but who are in that place, who are maybe wondering whether they still love their husband, whether they can actually resolve their marital issues, whether there is a chance of turning this into something, you know, the romance that it was when they first met, and a lot of that work comes without actually having any conversation with your partner. And you know the other end of it. You know what happens when they get to you and they haven't had these conversations and they haven't done that sort of that work on themselves. And not to say that I don't think anyone ever goes into marriage thinking that they're going to walk away if it gets hard. By the time they come to me and by the time they come to you, they've worked so hard to resolve the problems, to make it work. They've tried everything at all. And of course, as time goes on, you get more disheartened because nothing seems to be working. If I get to them before you do, my thing is, okay, well, let's take the relationship and put it to one side. Let's take your husband, let's put him to one side, and let's go back to basics. What is it that you want? What is it that gets you out of bed when you think about your marriage? How does that look when it's perfect for you? Not how can you make it slightly better than it is now? How can you get him to understand what you're feeling? Because that's all that comes across as, that's part of the problem. We get so needy, and it doesn't feel needy. We're trying to communicate, but I need you to understand me. So what happens is, the poor guy or the poor woman or whoever it happens to be on the other side is so defensive. Why do you need me to do something for you? So I like to cut in there and get focusing again on what you really want.
Right.
Get clear on that. And then the decisions kind of work out. And I think it also means by the time they arrive on your doorstep, if divorce is the way they want to go, it's not an easier process. Of course, it's never an easy process, but at least they're not full of the ifs and maybes and shoulds, and also there's a bit of a bit less anger and resentment against the other party.
Right. And I'll tell you that when you were talking, I was thinking about how I could say that. What do you really want? Because most of the time, people come in and I'll say, how can I help you? And they'll say, I want a divorce. It's like, that's what they want. They're ready. But when they come in and they say, I just want to talk about my options, and I can totally see how just asking that question, what do I really want? Because you may think it's just going to be leaving, but really it may be something like, I want more communication, or I want more affection, or I want you to take out the garbage, or, it can be all of those things, right?
Yeah, it's all of those things plus 100 other little things. And what happens over time is the fear of actually, having that conversation. Excuse me a second. My family are having their own discussion in the background.
That's right. I'm in my office, and they're a little bit loud out there too.
This is lunchtime for us.
Oh.
So, what happens is all those little things, and then we try, everyone has the best of intentions. You try to communicate what you're feeling. You really do. And of course, as I say, on the other side, there's that fear. What does she want from me? What does he want from me? What am I not giving? How am I going to do it? What's the right answer to this? So of course, over time, that conversation, it comes up, and there's fear on both sides, or one person withdraws and the other's terrified, and communication starts to break down from there. So, it's getting clear on what is you actually want, what it is that's actually missing is a really good place to start.
And one thing that I think is important, I had a client in here, and I guess he and his wife have been working on the marriage for a while, and he's definitely been working on himself and working really hard, and she wants some time away, and he keeps pushing and saying, no, you can't go away without me, or no, you can't. And I just said, again, I'm not a relationship expert, but I told him, I said, this is relationship advice 101. If somebody says they need some space, you can't push them.
Yeah, you have to give it to them.
If you push in the opposite direction and you don't let them have time, space, a little, they're gonna feel like they don't have a choice in the marriage. So how do you suggest, if somebody needs to have space, if you're that other person, just like you said, they're terrified. I mean, what do you tell those people that are scared because somebody's kind of trying to think through it? And you're there going, uh-oh, what now?
Yeah, well, I think that it's exactly that. I think that the honesty is the way to go forward, because then we get into the whole pattern of, if I said it like this, what's he going to think, or will he understand? And I think if you just take a step back and you say, I know that I'm talking from my heart. This is what I honestly feel, and it's not meant to hurt you.
Right.
This is what I need at the moment, because I'm really invested in the relationship. I want it to work. I want to make sure that we're looking at it from every angle, but it's too close at the moment for me. I need to take a step away to clear my head and to really understand what it is I'm feeling. And I can't do that. And it doesn't, the words don't matter. It's the sentiment behind it. As long as you're doing it from a truthful place. Yeah. I want you to understand this isn't the old adage, it isn't about you, it's about me. But it's me taking the space. But when it is that honest, this is about me, because I want to make sure that I'm giving it this everything it's got, or everything I've got, and I can't do that when I'm faced with the problem, day in, day out. I need to breathe away from it for a while. So the words aren't important, and that's something I always say. The words that you use aren't important. It's the intention, as you said, the intention behind it.
Right. And I really think that when you said that communication is important, whether you're that person that's going away or you're that person that's kind of staying in the space and going, what's next? You have to talk, and you have to share what's going on, because as soon as you leave and don't share, you may be thinking through it, but the other person is just feeling abandoned. And if you don't communicate it, then that, maybe they weren't going to end the marriage. But as soon as you start pushing, then they will.
Then, yeah, exactly. You feel under pressure. And you, as you said before, you feel that there really is no choice. There is nowhere to go because I'm being pushed into this corner. So, the only thing to do is break through the wall and run for the hills. But yeah, communication is so important on both sides. It's fine to say, look, I know that you want space. I know that you want time away. I'm terrified because I love you and I love our relationship and I want to make it work. So, go take the time that you need, but I'm going to be here worried about it. There's nothing, we think that we've always got to hide what we're feeling, because if we tell other people, we make them responsible for it. You're sharing what you're feeling so that your wife, your husband, whoever it is that's taking the time apart, knows that you're worried, that you're invested, and that you'll be here waiting when they get back. I think
and I was thinking about this morning when I was getting ready. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to have completely different perspectives. Because you want to help people heal. And it's not that I don't want to help them heal, but long ago, I decided when I used to have a therapist, like 25 years ago, and I had a boyfriend, and I said, should I break up with him? And she says, oh, Leigh, I can't make that decision for you. And I thought, somebody asked me what to do. In fact, I told her I wasn't even a lawyer yet. And I said, well, when I'm a lawyer, I'm going to tell people exactly what to do. Because I would just be begging, tell me what to do, And so if people ask me, if they're in that space, what do I do? People don't seem to be able to make a decision on their own. When it comes to this important, they want somebody. And a lot of times they have family members going, you should stay, which became a huge burden on them, for religious reasons or whatever, if their family's against them. And on the other hand, they may have people saying, you got to go, right? And they just can't.
And they're stuck in that place. Yeah.
Right. What do you tell somebody who's in that, do you tell them to make two lists or what?
I tell
Rachel did, or was it Ross? One of those people, Rachel or Ross, they're not really people. But one of those
there were people in our lives.
There were people in us, yeah. One of those characters that, make a list. I mean, I've done that before. This is why I want to stay in a relationship. This is why I want to go. I mean, what do you tell people? How do you tell them to weigh all of that going on?
Yeah, for me, again, it is a completely different perspective because mine is take a step back from the relationship and not physically from the relationship because oftentimes we can't do that. It's not that we can, if you've got kids and whatever, you can't take that time out that you desperately need. But take that emotional step back from the relationship, from your partner and work out what it is, going right back to the beginning, what it is you want.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So often we go into marriage, and it's only when you get, or any relationship at all, even work relationships, but we go in with all these preconceived ideas on what it should be like. And it's not even, it's got nothing to do with what you actually want. So you're running your life along the lines of what you think it should be like. You're unhappy because it's not what you want anyway. So if you take that step away from everything and get to understand what's going on in you, what is it that you really want from a relationship,
right,
then you've got a much clearer idea on whether it's attainable in the relationship you're in at the moment. And once you've got that knowledge, once you know that this is absolutely never going to work, because much as I love this guy, much as I'm invested in, we are so completely different. We'd have been better, dating 3 times and going our separate ways. Or on the other hand, I understand that my behavior is in some way adding to this. How am I going to change my behavior? How am I going to be able to go back, take that step back and begin to communicate? How am I going to find the courage even to say, look, I'm wrong? And that's what I had to do in my own marriage, and that's why I'm here doing what I do now. I had to take a step back and say, I made a mistake. I realized that a lot of the things that I thought were your fault, I had a big part in as well. Can we sit back? Can we sit down and can we talk about this? And can we sort of rework the relationship? It takes a lot of courage to be able to admit that you're wrong. Certainly when you're in that situation that that you're not really talking, you're a bit scared of that conversation anyway. Right. But when you know what it is you want, it's so much easier, because at that point, what have you got to lose?
Right. And I have to say, I'm not, when my clients come in and ask me, I'm probably not going to say, Is it your fault as well?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, you want to talk to my friend Allison, because she can, she can tell them it's your fault. But there are some times that I tell them you have to leave, and I'm sure there are too. And for one of those is definitely domestic violence. If there's domestic violence, I personally don't care how sorry the person is.
No.
I think that they have to get out.
And that's exactly, yeah, I'm completely in agreement. And that's one of the first things that I'll ask when I speak to somebody is, what is the situation? Are you in physical danger?
Right.
Are you in emotional or mental danger? Because, a lot of the times the physical abuse is, I'm not saying it's simple, but, it's there. And if you read anything, if you look around, if you speak to your girlfriends, they'll all tell you, no, you shouldn't be getting hit. That's wrong. You know that you can go, and it's easier and it's more acceptable to leave under those circumstances. When it's emotional abuse, it's much more difficult, because a lot of the time you start to believe, you start to fall into the trap of believing what you're being told. And I know that you've worked a lot on this as well, with your clients. But on the other side, a lot of it is just bad communication. So it's getting to the butt of that really understand the butt. I don't think that's the right expression at all. But getting to the bottom of
the heart,
and the heart of it.
What did you call it? The butt?
Butt.
Okay, getting to the butt of that. That must be something that let's not talk about.
I think that's something that doesn't even exist. We'll just ignore that.
And there's definitely some other things that I think, for instance, when somebody is a serial cheater, and I say to them, and I have to say, the worse, and this is exactly the emotional abuse, the worse the situation, the harder it is for the people to leave. And I even know almost, if they come in and tell me how horrible it is, I'll think, oh, this isn't going to work. They're going to say, file the divorce, and then they're going to change their mind.
Yeah.
But some of the things that I can think about are if they cheat on you consistently, if they can't stop cheating and now they're sorry again, I just say, this is going to happen again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people want us to believe, but
unfortunately, but that's one thing that we're both very much in agreement in, is it's about the way you view yourself, self-love, self-esteem. People that are full of self-love, self-esteem, self-worth don't allow themselves to be cheated on once, twice, 3 times, a dozen times. It can happen once. And it should be a wake-up call. We get unhappy in relationships and people cheat. Sometimes it's a call for help. It's really a call for attention. Look how badly I feel. Can we talk about it? But as you say, if it's consistent, if it's every 6 months or every month, it doesn't even matter. But when it's the way you're describing it, why would you stay in a relationship like that? Why would you want to? You deserve more. Yeah. And that's where I work a lot, is in the sense of self, because you can leave that relationship. If Leigh actually manages to cut across and get you to leave, you can leave it. But I'm damn sure you're going to find yourself in the same type of relationship again, because you've not done the work inside. And that's, one of the things that I say right at the beginning when I talk to people is, I don't care if you stay and I don't care if you divorce. What I care about is you understand what is your part, why you've allowed things to work out the way they have. And that's not, it's nothing about blaming. It's not just taking, self-flagellating or beating yourself up for not being a perfect wife or husband or whatever. It's about being honest and taking an honest appraisal of who you are and what you feel about yourself, so that you can work on that. And if you do leave, next time around, you find a different type of partner, because you're a different type of woman.
That's exactly one of the examples of the things that I say when I start out with, this is not legal advice. When you said that, I was like, yep, because I'll sit there and say, this is not legal advice, but why are you letting this happen to you? Yeah. Why are you allowing this to continue? Whether it's people screaming and yelling at you, or hitting you, or calling you names, or whatever. Of course, I'm in the position of, I see so many of the worst
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, hopefully you get them before I get it, but I see situations where we start the divorce and then one of the people wants to reconcile. And for me, a lot of times I see that as a manipulation tool. And I'm not, in the last 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of it as they know they're in a bad position in the divorce. And so they try to reconcile. And it breaks my heart to tell somebody that I think that you're, in fact, this happened to me. I had a client, and it was an almost 40-year marriage. And she suspected her husband was cheating. He wanted to get divorced. Then he wanted to reconcile. So they sold the house. She gave him all the money. And then as soon as she did that, he refiled the divorce. And she was out $25,000. We could never recover that money. And, you know, and I see stuff like that a lot.
Yeah. No,
so but I didn't push her, and she thanked me. But I did tell her, I'm very afraid that he is just manipulating you.
Mm-hmm.
So what if somebody, I mean, what do you say? And I think it's going to go back to what do you want? But when somebody has filed for divorce and then there's a period of separation, or they're separated, or divorce is pending, and then there's this conversation, should we try again? Should we stay together? What do you tell people then?
Pretty much what you've just described. You know, and that's it. And some I tend to get them, and it's one of the things that I want to pick your brain about at some point. I tend to get women before they've even been to speak to a lawyer, before they've even started that path. And that's part of the problem, the fear around coming to speak to somebody like you, because it suddenly makes it frightening. Yeah, you're terrifying, but you know, it's the idea, isn't it? It's the idea of fighting. And quite often what they say is scared to go behind their husband's back.
Yeah.
You know, scared. I feel like I'm almost cheating by going to find out what my rights are.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we see this, and I had a client the other week, and she was talking exactly about this, you know, that she's in the place that very probably she needs to leave. But she's not emotionally ready to leave yet. So we've kind of put that to one side. Okay, well, you're not in physical danger. You're in no more emotional danger than you were 6 months ago, 20 years ago, whatever. So, you know, we can put the leaving decision to one side, or even, you know, and let's work on what you need to work on. Let's drag out your self-confidence, your self-esteem.
Let's get to the butt of it.
Let's get to the butt of it. And she said, you know, I know what will happen. I know that I'll start to, you know, to put down boundaries, and I'll start to do this, and I'll start to do that. And he'll get scared, and he'll start to behave for a while. And as soon as I get comfortable with him behaving, he'll go back to that way of being. So what I'm really trying to say here is everybody really knows, you know, they know in their heart, they know in their head what's going to happen. So, but you have to be at the point where you're sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
You have to give it that one last chance, whatever that happens to be. You know, some people lose $25,000. Some people never leave because they're always giving that last.
You know, and I had a lady once, and she was in her 70s, in her mid 70s, and she was coming in here. Her husband was an alcoholic, and he was yelling at her, cursing her, calling her names. And I said, why now? This has been happening her whole life, her whole marriage. Her daughters were like, I can't believe she's still married to him. I said, why now? And she said, you know, well, I'm 74 years old, and I'm going to die happy. And I'm like, well, good for you, you know, go for it. And people will just stay and be miserable. And when we had 9/11, and I didn't, because I was afraid that everybody would run me out of town, but I wanted to do a great big billboard that said, you know, life is short.
Yeah.
Get divorced. But I didn't. I knew my mother would disown me. The people at church would talk about me. I can't do that. But I just want people to be happy.
Yeah.
The bottom line for me is everybody deserves to be happy.
And it's exactly the bottom line for me as well. And as you say, most people say, I'll be happy when, and it's whether it's, you know, when the kids have left home, or whether it's when, you know, when we've got some money together, or it's always putting it off to the future. And and the longer you put it off, the more miserable you become, the less you invested you are in yourself. Your self-esteem disappears. You feel, that you're almost a non-person. And it's much more difficult to build yourself up to that point that you say, I'm 74 years old and I want to be happy. It takes a bit of action, it takes a bit of courage, but it also takes a bit of loving yourself, right, nurturing yourself, and building some confidence up. And more than that, because you probably get this too, but what I hear a lot is, I just want to leave. I just want it to be different. I say, okay, and what's it going to be like? What's life going to be like beyond?
Yeah, good.
And they've got no idea. They can't, they're so stuck in that place that they can't actually see what life could be like. They can't create that picture, that dream. And that's something that's so important. You're never going to leave what you've got if you don't have something better to move towards. And that can be a dream, that can be a goal, that can be whatever you want to call it. But paint that picture of what life will look like beyond. You don't have to stick to it. Once you start working towards it, you might decide that you don't want Hawaii, you want Key West, whatever it is that you're dreaming about. Yeah. And you can make that sort of shift. But the important thing is actually to plan what you want.
Yeah.
And not just, I want a divorce and then life will be better. It won't be. It'll be exactly the same, except you'll be poorer, you'll be on your own, and you'll be starting from scratch with no idea on, and there'll be a whole chunk of your life missing because you won't be living in fear. You won't be constantly sort of, fighting and pushing backwards and forwards against someone. How are you going to fill that time? What do you want?
Yeah, so, that's what I tell people often that say, because I have a lot of people at this stage in my career have been married a really long time, and it's almost like it's so comfortable that they can't leave. And it's not that they're happy. They're not getting, and sometimes I'll ask them, what are you getting out of this marriage? Of course, by prefacing it, this is not legal advice, but is there any social component? Is there any, do you still have intimacy? Do you have, and sometimes they have absolutely zero. They have no relationship other than they've been married 20 years and they're living in the same house. And it's such, they're so afraid of, just like you said, what's going to happen if I don't have this comfort level, even though it's not good, but they just are afraid to leave that space that they're in. Yeah.
And you can remain afraid to leave that space you're in until you've got that picture. And that's why, so often you have somebody that goes off and has an affair and within 6 months they're gone, because that's what they're waiting for. It's not the right way to do it, but there's suddenly a spark of hope that life can be better again. So instead of having to wait for that to happen, or hope that somebody crosses your path, take that sense of responsibility back. Empower yourself and say, you know what, I want to be living on a beach with 3 cats, 14 turtles, and whatever, or
14 turtles, 3 pigs, 5 chickens, 2 camels.
But whatever that
when I talk to people that are in that situation, I haven't thought of that, but I love that. I really love that. That's a great way to say, what is it that you, and I have a lot of people that feel really victimized. And so, I try to always point them into, let's see what you have to look forward to. Mm-hmm. Let's not talk about the fact that you're going to have to pay child support or alimony, or you're going to lose past your retirement. Let's talk about that you can make more money, that you're going to feel better, that you're going to, I talk about all the things that are going to happen that are good for them, rather than letting them stay stuck in, this is all the bad things.
Yeah.
It definitely is a conversation that comes up all the time. And again, I'm not qualified to tell them. I'm glad to have a relationship expert. And where can they find you, Allison?
You can find me at AllisonReiner.com, which is ALLISON Reiner.com, or you can find me on Facebook in Loved Again and Forever, which is my Facebook group, which is a lovely, cozy place where we talk about this and more regularly. Or you can email me at Allison@AllisonReiner.com. I'm easy to find about, or on Project Positive Change.
Project Positive Change. So I think this is really great. And, Allison, I would love it if you could just add to the comments your links where they can find you, if there's an opt-in, people can find out about you, because I know that that's a question that every single person that contemplates having a divorce, you know, should I stay or should I go?
Yeah.
And sometimes the people, you know, even when I say you absolutely have to go, they'll say, but the money or the this or the that, you know, I really think that people need a good neutral sounding board. It's not their family. It's not, you know, it's not their friends. It's somebody who can just look at it with neutrality,
Exactly.
and tell them what they should do, you know, and tell them some guidance. And those therapists who never want to tell you, you know, I really
bloody therapists.
I really advise that you hire a coach, because a coach will help you take steps instead of just you talking about it all day, you know, hour after hour.
And actually not even talking about it, because what happens is your family and your friends are so sick and tired of listening to you, or you're so afraid that they're going to force you into a certain decision that you start to withdraw and you don't share anymore. And you know, often that's why people come to me. I just need someone to talk to now, because I've gone through the family, I've gone through the friends, the divorce lawyer's too expensive until I know that I want a divorce. You know, help me. And it's, so that's exactly what I do. I help you.
Yeah, and
then I send them to you.
I tell people, I'll say, look, I'm not a therapist, but if I treat you like one, then I'm gonna have to charge you double. I can't do that. If I could do that, I think I may do that now. I'm still
exactly. Maybe what you could do is you could put a bed, instead of having a desk, you could put a bed in your room, exactly the same conversation, charge them double.
A bed?
Yeah, one of those, you know, the old therapy beds.
You mean a couch?
A couch, sorry, yes. We call them beds. My side of the pond, we call them beds.
I have a feeling if I have a bed in my office, I would get in a lot of trouble.
Or you get a lot of clients.
The other lawyers, with, you know, it's not the message I want to send to the world.
No.
Thank you for that. Something else.
Me and my butt better go and get our mouths in order.
That's a funny one. That is a funny one. All right.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
For today, this is not legal advice. If you've been watching, thank you very much. I hope we didn't have technical glitches. I couldn't see because I turned off Facebook, so I couldn't see Facebook. So thanks, everybody, again. I'll be back next week talking about how to give love another chance. So have a great day.
Thanks
Allie.
so much, Leigh. Bye.